Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
This was the thread from John Deaton where he was basically predicting that this case was over before it even started, with which makes you think that maybe the SEC knew that they it doesn't almost make you think. It makes me think the SEC knew when they filed this, when Jay Clayton filed it, he knew that it was not going to be something that the SEC could win. And then you have to ask why they did it. The only conclusion that I can come to is, like John Deaton says, that this was used as a weapon and it was filed knowing that they couldn't win. Now think about that, folks. If this lawsuit was filed knowing that they couldn't win and it was for the purpose of slowing Ripple down, how awful and maybe even something else this could be for the SEC. Now, I got John Deaton on and I went through, it's about 17 minutes of it. I haven't even gone back and watched it myself, but I know it's awesome. Strap in, enjoy. Hey everybody, I've got the official John Deaton on the program today. And John, welcome aboard. Wanted to see, I saw your tweet from, I guess that was yesterday evening, about your prediction that the case was over before it was filed with regard to Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. And I wanted to get your thoughts on kind of what you were thinking there with that thread.
Well, DAI, you could go back to January 1st of 2021, 9 days after the lawsuit was dropped, and I filed the writ of mandamus. Before we knew everything that we've learned, before we learned everything that you've uncovered, or that other people in the XRP community have uncovered, I said, this lawsuit doesn't make sense. I put in a pleading, I literally said, it appears that this lawsuit was used as a weapon. And that's before we learned all the conflicts, before we learned the appearances of impropriety and all of those things. And so I always question why. Why did Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson get sued individually? DAI, a securities case is traditionally, if there's no fraud, if there's no misrepresentation, then normally it's a strict liability case. Either you sold an unregistered security or you didn't. But Jay Clayton and Hinman and team decided to go after these two executives. And ask yourself why. After 30 months of an investigation, they did not find one single instance of fraud or misrepresentation. Can you imagine other platforms going through a 30-month investigation? How about Consensus? Can you imagine them going through 30-month investigation and no fraud, no omission being found? So why were they sued? This case was dead on arrival because you have to prove. They charged Brad and Chris with aiding and abetting. What that means is that they had to have either actual knowledge that XRP was a security, they actually had to believe that, or if the SEC can't prove that, they must prove recklessness. What's that mean? That means that they were reckless because it was so obvious that XRP was a security. So let's review the evidence real quick. We have a memo from Perkins Coie of October or November 2012 that concludes XRP is not a security. There goes your actual knowledge. They can use that memo. Why is that so important, DAI? Who wrote the memo? Perkins Coie. Is it reasonable for Chris Larson to rely on a law firm named Perkins Coie and their opinion that it's not a security? Wait a minute. The SEC relied on Perkins Coie. They helped write the speech. So it is absolutely reliable and responsible and reasonable for Chris Larson at that time to say, okay, they say it's not a security, it's not a security. So now we go to the recklessness standard. It's got to be so obvious that any person in that situation would know XRP is a security. So what do we have? Well, DAI, SEC enforcement lawyers could own XRP all the way to 2019 without restriction.
That is crazy.
Imagine that. If it's a security, then the SEC has policies, restrictions. You got to seek permission. Can you own this? Can you trade this? Because it's coming under your purview. No, not with XRP, not with Bitcoin and ETH, right? They could own those things without restriction. If it was so obvious, that wouldn't be allowed. Let's move on to the next thing. Something that a lot of people haven't paid attention to, that June 13th, 2018 memo analyzed whether XRP is a security. I was disappointed at first because we didn't get to see it. I wanted to read it, right? Intellectual curiosity. How did they analyze the Howey factors with XRP in 2018? It doesn't matter because the judge said that it did not come with a recommendation. What that means is that the SEC enforcement lawyers, after analyzing XRP under Howey in 2018, did not conclude it was a security. If they did, they would have recommended enforcement. They wouldn't have said, it is so clear and obvious that Ripple has violated US securities laws, but we're just gonna let it go. That's not how it would happen, right? So they didn't conclude definitively that XRP was a security. Now, maybe the memo says, well, you know, they made 3 out of 4 factors, 2 out of 4. It doesn't matter. You got to have 4. It does not matter what that memo says. It matters what it doesn't say, and it doesn't recommend enforcement. It can't be so obvious to Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson in 2013 and 2015 if SEC enforcement lawyers can't make the case in 2018.
Well, how does that affect I mean, because this is obvious what you're talking about here with regard to Brad Garlinghouse and the Chris Larson lawsuit. How does this affect the Ripple lawsuit?
Well, it affects the Ripple lawsuit because Ripple is relying on everything that Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson is relying on. So everything that they can, obviously, if you're the CEO, Chris Larson, and the founder, and it says that XRP is not a security, then that knowledge gets imputed on the company itself, Ripple. Ripple doesn't believe XRP is a security. So right now, my tweet was focusing on the executives because it's so blatantly obvious, you know, what's going on. I mean, look at the Hinman speech, DAI. Your tweet, you discovered Nancy Waltas and the Wendy Moore from Perkins Coie, of course, right? And they're on stage and they say, well, regardless of what you think, whether ETH is decentralized or not, if any platform can do it just a little bit better than ETH, then you're clear. So if Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson honestly believe that the XRP ledger is as sufficiently decentralized or more decentralized than ETH, they have a reasonable belief going forward that just like ETH, ongoing sales of XRP are not securities. That's golden. But here's another big piece of evidence, DAI. On August 20th of 2018, Brad Garlinghouse and Joel Katz, right, David Schwartz, met with Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton. And it's at that meeting where Brad Garlinghouse yelled out, Ripple is living in purgatory because of the lack of clarity over XRP.
Right.
What did they say? Did Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman say, well, I'll give you clarity, XRP is a security, stop selling it? No, they did not respond in that way. If they are leading the SEC, and the SEC is the world's greatest expert in what is or isn't in security, if the chairman and the director of corporation finance don't tell you that it's a security, then it's not a security. The point being is that it wasn't even believable to Chairman Clayton or Hinman that XRP was a security. And if it's not clear to them it's a security, just like their SEC enforcement lawyers in their XRP memo, if it's not clear to them, how could it be clear to these two executives?
All right, so that's part one. And then this is part two, gets even better.
And then we got more evidence. This is overwhelming evidence. It's overwhelming. We get to, now that was 2018. We get to 2019. Coinbase, the most conservative of exchanges, with their sophisticated securities lawyers, goes to the SEC and they say, we have run XRP through our framework. The framework that Valerie, the czar at the SEC, complimented Coinbase about publicly. We've run it through our system and XRP is not a security. We're gonna list it unless you tell us otherwise. They leave that meeting and they list XRP in February 2019. If it was so clear that XRP was security, Coinbase wouldn't have listed it, okay? Coinbase wouldn't have listed it. And then we go further. That was January of 2019. Now we get to June of 2019. And what does Ripple do? Ripple actually files a document with the SEC that they're going to purchase 9% of MoneyGram. In the document, in the filing, it talks about XRP. It talks about how XRP is going to be utilized with MoneyGram in cross-border remittances. If it was so clear that XRP was a security, why would you allow that to go forward? They know, the SEC knows that Ripple is going to pay or transfer XRP to MoneyGram. Did the SEC believe that MoneyGram was a hodler of XRP, or are they a money business? And they were then going to sell that XRP on exchanges to you, DAI, and to me. Right. And if it was so clear that XRP was a security, would the SEC allow retail investors to get this unregistered security? Of course not. And then we get even further. Now we're in 2020, the year of the lawsuit. And we got to look at what did market participants think, right? Well, we've got that Baylor Inc. filing in January 1st of 2020, where they say to the SEC, look, we know that there's uncertainty with the digital asset space, but we want you, SEC, to rest assured that Baylor will not sell or trade potentially unregistered securities. We're going to only trade the 3 cryptocurrencies that is generally accepted by the financial world, including the SEC, to be non-securities: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. That was in January. That was 11 months before the lawsuit. And then finally, DAI, we got another piece of evidence. We have the email from an XRP holder, literally within 60 days of the SEC filing the lawsuit, that says, hey, is XRP a security? And what does the SEC say, DAI? We have not made a determination that XRP is a security. That was less than 2 months before the filing of the lawsuit. So when you take all that evidence and you take it together, there is no way, it is impossible for the SEC to meet its burden to prove that Brad Garlinghouse or Chris Larson had actual knowledge and belief that XRP is a security, or that they were so reckless because it was so obvious to the world that XRP was a security. If it's not obvious to your own SEC enforcement lawyers who are experts in what is or isn't security, how could it be obvious to these two executives?
Well, you know, after hearing you go through all that, the conclusion that I come to, because, you know, we've accused the SEC of a lot of things, but I've never accused any of them of being stupid. And the only conclusion that, I mean, I'm no attorney, but the only conclusion anybody with an ounce of common sense can come to here is that this lawsuit, all of these lawsuits, were filed knowing that they couldn't win. And if that's the case, you got to ask what their motivations are. Well, I mean,
listen, you saw that recent interview, or at least clips of it, of that Joseph Hall guy, right? That that from the SEC that Tony at Thinking Crypto did? Well, even though he was a moron and dismissive of saying, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, even he, the SEC's own loyal people, said he was perplexed why the SEC brought this lawsuit. Everybody think about that. Why? Why did they bring the lawsuit? You can't prove this. You allowed this asset to be traded for almost 8 years. Okay, you allowed all the things that we went through in this interview with UDAI, all of those things. Why would you file the lawsuit? Why would you go after the executives in a non-fraud case? If you go back and look at all securities enforcement actions, when you sue the executives is when you believe they've committed fraud. Why would you file it against them when you know you can't? If you know you can't win, then maybe you're not trying to win. Maybe the filing of the lawsuit itself was the goal. Maybe that was the end. Maybe that was everything, right? File the case against them. Think about this. Joseph Grunfest, who is very, very loyal to the SEC, he believes in it as an institution. He said, in the history of the SEC, there had never been an exodus of so many leaders in the SEC leaving after filing such a significant lawsuit. He called it a mass exodus. Think about it. Clayton left, Hinman left, Mark Berger, the director of enforcement who helped write this complaint, left, the director of trading and markets left. All of these people left. As they're walking out the door, they slapped the most significant SEC enforcement action in modern history because they didn't have to prove it. So if they don't have to prove it, are they willing to file a ridiculous lawsuit that can't be proven? Sure, if the lawsuit is the weapon.
Well, John, I mean, the thing for me when I hear this is that tells me that this is just a matter of time at this point. If it's a matter of time, that makes me very bullish on Ripple, on my Ripple equity and my XRP.
Listen, I've said this before, and this should be known. Even Charlie Gasparino and Ellie basically said in their opus, they said, John Deaton's no fanboy of Ripple. I've always been focused on the XRP holders. And I've never been a defender. I don't have anything against Ripple, of course. But let's talk about that for a second. Just 1 second for people who want to be worried or concerned about the lawsuit and its impact. Can you imagine what I said earlier? Can you imagine being investigated for 2.5 years, going through every sale that was ever made, going through every advertisement that was ever issued? And after 2.5 years of an exhaustive investigation, they don't find one single instance of fraud, misrepresentation, or omission. That's got to give people some confidence. I wouldn't go on a limb and predict that this case against the two executives gets dismissed if I wasn't 100% sure. So, I can't say, go out and buy Ripple. That's not my job. But I can tell you, there's a lot of cryptocurrency platforms that would not survive a 30-month investigation.
That was a great job by John Deaton. I mean, wow, he really laid it out. It reminded me to show you this. He had tweeted this out yesterday. Last year, Rosalind Layton brilliantly wrote, put 2 and 2 together, and the SEC is saying that Ripple and its 2 top executives had to have reasonable knowledge of something 7 years ago that the agency itself wasn't sure about last Friday. Vindication is all, she replied to John putting that out. Vindication is often slow, John Deaton, but I didn't read that psychic powers were a prong of the Howey test. I'm going to put this in the links in the top of the description of this video, the link to John Deaton's website. But if you go to his Twitter feed and give him a follow at John E. Deaton1, the pinned tweet he's got, if you want to join his class action lawsuit against the SEC, he's over 65,000 people in this XRP holders in the lawsuit. You can find it right there. It's his pinned tweet. And if you want to use his website, and he's got the video library of all the evidence that's been found in this case, he's got all kinds of documentation. This is at crypto-law.us. I'll put the link to that in the top of the description of this video. He's got the Connect to Congress. If you live in the U.S., you can click here and you can send your congressman a note telling them how angry you are about all of this in the SEC lawsuit. If you don't live in the U.S. and you're international, you can click here and let them know as well.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.